Because we have to remember this conversation is not just happening amongst us, it is happening on the internet. So everybody sees the craziness. And I think that my issue too is, while I do see people have other races having these conversations, they make it a point to have it with the people that they have the problem with. So when I see situations that we're talking about only fan girls, obviously that's universal. You can universally say men have an issue with only, a lot of men have an issue with only fan girls, and they'll have only fan girls there. So it's not a doubt in your mind that they're talking about only fan girls. You understand what I'm saying? And not the average woman. And so I think that's the problem. And it goes back to what you were saying, AP. You were like, we're not talking about all women, but unless you make that distinction and you say, look, these type of women that we have in our community, these right here, we have to, these women are the problem. You understand? Because when you say something like, well, if the shoe fits, wear it, that works when you're talking to us, but it does not work when you're talking to us and other people are watching, because to them you're talking about us. You understand what I'm saying? We know you're not talking about us, but from the standpoint from somebody else, just like that conversation where that comedian was talking to those two guys, you know what I'm talking about? He's a white guy, he had the fresh cut, and he asked about black women. We have made it so safe for them to down us. Like, brother, I would have had so much to say. And I'm thinking to myself, like, let me talk about them, but that doesn't give you the right to do that. You understand what I'm saying? I may have my complaints, but that's not for you.
Okay, so you made some points that I agree with, right? So if this is me saying I personally, if I actually hear of some other guy denigrate in my space that isn't one of, I'm going to put quotes around the word us, that isn't one of us, denigrating our women as a whole, my job is to correct them. And I think more of that does need to happen. And maybe it does, and we don't see it. I mean, because I do. Like, hold on now, hold on. See, what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna talk about my sisters like that. It's one thing if I talk about my sister. You ain't gonna talk about my sister, but I'm not gonna talk to you about my sister because that's conversation that I'm not going to have. I'm not gonna go talk to a white dude about sisters like that doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe you guys need to see more of that. Maybe that's part of this whole gender war thing is that you guys don't see enough of us protecting you guys. But at the same time, when we do step up and we when we're coming from a place of protection, we get so much pushback oftentimes that it's like, you know what is the point? And when I say us coming from a place of protection, like, yo sis, maybe you shouldn't be wearing that out. You don't tell me, you know what? No, go ahead. Go ahead. Then whatever happens is what happens to you. You can't say I didn't tell you. You can't say this stranger right here didn't tell you that it was a bad idea.
So,
Wait, Shan, let me just say this real quick. It was something that AP said that, and kind of similar to what you were saying. But I think the problem is that when you treat so, and this is vice versa. This is men to women and women to men in this space. Is that when you treat someone with disrespect in public, you indirectly give others the permission to disrespect that person too. And so, just like when you're using the N word, when we go around and be like, you know what, we've gotten so comfortable that saying that it may have made other people comfortable saying that too. But and so I think that has been the same thing as well. Like as women, Black women, we are talking about our men, whatever our grievances are. We'll talk about that in these spaces, where we're always talking about black men, da 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 da, they always da 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 da. So we going in on them, and then we're putting that out there. So then it indirectly starts to have other people have those same perceptions of dealing with black men, and the vice versa. When black men are talking disrespectful or saying how bad black women are, and they co-signing that thought process that has already been instilled generations after since slavery about black people in general. But I think for us as women is a little different in terms of the being over sexualized and da da da. So as when men are in these platforms reinforcing some of those same stereotypes, it indirectly gives other people permission to disrespect us too.
I just want to make it very clear because I see it from both sides, right?
Mm,
I've seen women be disrespectful to men, and I've
absolutely.
seen men to be disrespectful to women. So we need to make sure that we know it's not one-sided because I have seen it both ways, not just one way, right?
Yes, I said that.
Um, and so I just think that I just wish it were a common ground where you can have your issues, right? Because I don't think anybody's perfect. And we just have to say this person is just not for us. This is not my mate. This is not, we can live, you know, in our own little worlds away from each other. You're just not a part of my village, so to speak. And I don't have to bash you for that. You don't have to bash me for that. We just not meant to be in the same room together. Does that make sense? Like,
It,
I,
go ahead.
um, because a lot of these issues that we're having with people, when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's generational. You're asking, you sitting here saying a woman who's half naked and she's acting a certain way, more than likely her mom act that way. More than likely her grandmother act that way. So you're asking a taught behavior to just go away because you said it. That takes time. Sometimes and it can't start with you telling them. It has to start within. Like, I want better for myself, you know and we can't judge another group of women off of those women who just needed to take the moment to get it right, to see the ill in their behavior. And that's what we're doing. That's what I think we're doing.